Welcome back to Good Day, Big Bear. Good morning, Marcelo.
Good morning, John.
Sit back with you. Just sit down. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. And before we get into this, where are you from originally? We were talking about this last night.
Argentina.
Argentina. Okay. What part of Argentina?
The big city, Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires. So you're a city boy.
That's right.
Yeah. Very good. And what was it like growing up there?
It was...
Because you've been in the States for a while.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was there till I was 12.
Okay.
And I used to take the subway to school. And, you know, there's a lot of feeling to the city.
Mm.
I don't know if you've ever been to Philadelphia, but
Yes.
I kind of like the feeling. You can sort of... There's a spirit...
It's almost palpable. Yes.
There's a spirit to the city, and Buenos Aires is the same way. You know, it's full of tradition and beautiful architecture. A lot of the French architecture. The Spanish brought the subways, and you have a lot of marble and wrought iron, and a lot of beautiful plazas with trees, and it's really a gorgeous place.
And fairly tropical.
No, actually, no. Argentina has a full range. Up north, we're near the tropic, and south, you know, we're near Antarctica.
It's long.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But not. It's humid, but I wouldn't say tropical.
Okay. Kind of like San Diego.
No, San Diego has much nicer weather, and the drier weather. Over there, you feel the cold in your bones because of the humidity. You know, so although the seasons aren't very powerful, you do feel them more. And of course, they don't have as much central heating as we do, and so forth. So you feel things more. You know, like growing up, sometimes there'd be power cutouts, and sometimes there would be floods, and the water you'd have to boil it, and this is in a
So just like the middle states here in the U.S.
something like that.
Something like that. Now, so what did you do as a kid? Were you close to the coast?
Well, my grandfather had a place on the coast, and I went there several times, Mar del Plata, and had a lot of fun in Mar del Plata. They have a casino, and that's
And
where
you were there at 12?
I was in Argentina till I was 12. No, I wasn't in the casino till I was 18. I get the
Very liberal there. Right? get the kids.
I went there
early.
once with my dad. He lost money, and I made some.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, that's always fun.
Yeah.
And, snow skiing or any winter type sports?
Yes, if you go south to Bariloche, the Cerro Catedral, they have skiing with chair lifts and cabin lifts and so forth.
Cabin lifts. That's like what do we call those, gondolas or something like that?
Well, it's the enclosed,
Right,
you know, and a lot of Swiss. Argentina was basically populated by a lot of Europeans. They had a very aggressive immigration policy that would give you a job and housing.
Oh.
So
Are they still offering that?
no, that stopped. I think people in Argentina have a hard time procuring that today. But so you get Europeans. You get the Swiss went to the mountains. You have Germans. You have French. A lot of Italians. A lot of Spanish. English brought their beef and their railroads. So everybody contributed. Argentina was the second. In fact, my grandfather on my mother's side, they were coming to the U.S., but I think somebody had Parkinson's or some disease, and they weren't allowed in. And that was a second choice destination for a lot of immigrants at the turn of the beginning of the 1900s.
And where did the tango come from?
The tango basically
Had to do the dance thing. I had to do the dance thing.
Basically, I think it came from what they call arrabal. You know, it's kind of a sexy, close contact dance, and it came more from that arena. You know, the el abasto, where the trucks would bring in all the stuff from the country, and like the wholesale market.
Right.
That's where Gardel really became famous, and it was looked down by the higher classes. But when he went to Paris, and the French loved it, and in those days the French were kind of the diplomats of the world.
Right.
Then then it became finally accepted in Argentina. So it really came from the lower classes.
Yeah. Well, it's dancing.
Yeah.
You know, it's passion. You know. So you moved to the States when you were 12.
Yes,
Okay.
my mom she was a pediatrician, but she got into lung research, and she came to Boston in '63, and they liked her work. So in '65, Harvard School of Public Health offered her a research associate grant, and she brought her two children, my sister and I,
Very nice.
to Boston in '65.
So was it a? Do you remember? Was it a huge culture shift for you?
Well, I remember we stayed in Cambridge with some friends, the Murrays, Janet and Jeff Murray. They had a little house in Central Square, Cambridge. And I remember walking outside and saying hello to somebody and not having them, I said good morning because I had learned British English, and they didn't respond. So it was in shock. Yes, it was a completely different culture. But I found Americans to be very friendly and, kind of very welcoming, outgoing for the most part. Of course, in school you have always a lot of competitive...
The new kid stuff.
Yeah. I was, I was a scapegoat. It was difficult.
Well, and you're a fairly open individual as well. You kind of invite freedom.
Well, that's very kind of you to say.
Am I wrong? Okay. I see. All right. Now, when did you first get into? I don't know what we want to call this. Healing, the Zen-like meditations that you do and things. What? Can you put a label on what you?
I'd rather
the classes
not.
you teach. Okay.
I'd rather not.
I felt.
I mean, I was here in the late '60s, which was really a time of changing for America, because
there was a lot of changes going
Yeah.
on in the late '60s.
because the baby boomers were coming, and the war in Vietnam was raging. So,
Right.
women's lib and black liberation and civil rights and everything was happening.
Yes.
It was a very exciting time, and I was here then, and so I was like my cultural formation in the U.S. happened at that time of the counterculture. And I remember, like, in the late 60s, having my first vegetarian meal, and we had co-ops where you could buy organic foods, and they would come in barrels,
Right.
And I did get into healing first. In Boston, Michio Kushi was a macrobiotic master, and one time I drove up to his house and he did a diagnosis for free. And these days, you have to wait a year and pay like $500 to have a session with the guy. So I did learn about healing early on, and I was interested in Edgar Casey,
Right.
and all this kind of spiritual stuff early on. But it wasn't really until... I heard a talk of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, but it really wasn't for me, transcendental. But then in '73, I did get interested in Guru Maharaji. He was the boy wonder, teaching the knowledge.
This was the gentleman
No.
we saw the movie on.
No, that
No.
was
Gentleman.
Ramana-maharashi.
Okay.
There's a lot of because Maha means, great.
Okay.
And a Maharaj is a king. Raj is king. So a Maharaj. So there's a lot of Hindu Mahars and Maharajis and stuff like that. So this is not actually the Maharshi, it's the Maharaji.
Okay. Names are a little now. For folks that may not know what we're talking about, the gentleman you're talking about, the gurus, if you will, of India and other cultures as well. The focus in what would you say their focus was? What was the message that drew so many people to these people?
Well, I remember the Beatles, hit the Mahesh Yogi. He died
Right.
recently. And it was about peace. India has a long tradition of spirituality
Mhm.
and seeking God. And so that was kind of the message that Maharaji was saying, well, America has a very long material leg, India has a very long spiritual leg. It'd be good to have both of them together.
Mhm.
And I think he did very well at that because he's got a much longer material leg than when he first came.
So tell us about some of the coaching, teaching. What do you call what you do?
I don't really know. I know that I was a consumer for a long time in the spiritual realm. I followed Maharaji for a long time, and then in 2000, I came upon Prasad. He was a follower of Papaji, who was a follower of Ramana-maharashi.
Okay.
But long story short, the first teacher taught me to meditate as a way to experience peace and fulfillment and joy and connect with myself. The second teacher is, he taught me that actually all those things that I was doing exercises to become, I was already. So that I didn't really need to do anything to get there.
You just had to get in touch with it.
He was saying basically, not that you had to do anything, but that more that the thought that you have that you are distinct and different and separate from these things is what brings you the pain. In the new age, in the new age, people are often trying to improve their personality, to work on themselves. It's a big industry, billions of dollars.
Yes.
All these books go out. People read it, they lap it up. They're trying to become a
I
better.
have a library full of them myself.
Right. So what Ramana-maharashi, what Papaji, what Prasad, what I'm saying is basically that thing which is trying to improve you is the thing that's perceiving you as being flawed.
What totally calls your ego.
Your ego.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how's it going? I mean, have you
Really good.
had some very nice times with people? I mean, have you had students that go, aha?
Yeah, I mean, I've had people that, for 20 years have been working on themselves, have been trying to realize God, and in a half hour or 20-minute telephone call, they get it.
Yes.
But that's really their accomplishment.
That's very good.
Yeah,
Well, yes. And having been a teacher myself of physical nature, once the people get that they can be, your job's pretty well done. Then it's a matter of a little fine tuning, but it's pretty well done once they understand they can, as you said, get it.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was Plato or somebody said that the best teachers are surpassed by their students. And I think with Maharaji, the rabbi I had, the reason I moved away from my first teacher is that he seemed to always imply that he was better than you and that, it was all about following him. Whereas
His ego was still in it.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he compared himself to Obama, how many people Obama filled in a hall and how many he fills in his talks,
A little competition going there.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like the other gurus that you're mentioning.
Well, I think people are really taken by image. The names you mentioned, like Stevie Wonder and the people that had birthdays today. And there's a real social movement towards fame. I think we all get lost in that pursuit, of fame and fortune. And, truth doesn't have to come in a really fancy package.
Very nice. You have a website,
awakenedself.org.
awakenself.org.
Yeah, like already awakened.
awakenedself.org.
Yeah.
And Marcelo Berman, with one L in the Marcelo.
Yes.
If you're doing a search for him. And you're taking on students?
Absolutely.
Very
Yeah. I want to avail myself to people as I have been able to draw on teachers. I feel that it's a worthwhile pursuit. I feel like death is like, I had this one experience as a child. I guess we're about to close in a minute or two. And I had this thought, what if life is but a dream from which you wake up when you die? And I feel like that's really what's going on. We're living this dream. It's very real the way it feels, but when we die, we're going to wake up from it. And why not live it awake right now?
Why not wake up now?
Yeah,
AwakenedSelf.org.
Yeah.
Marcelo Berman. Thanks for coming on. I think we could all use a little peace in our lives right now.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
very much for
John.
coming on.
It's a real pleasure.
We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with Mike Mossman. Don't go anywhere.